You go ahead and talk. I just want to make sure that it's somehow not picking up chat audio.
Good sniper. Oh shit, you run. You were playing music?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this.
The fact that I can listen to music and you can't hear it?
Wait, but your audience can hear it, and
Yeah.
so it's representative of what I like as well.
No, it isn't. This is my show. You're a guest on my channel.
Oh, okay.
Ba-dum-bum.
So I've got a story to tell you, though.
Ooh, I love stories.
I've been waiting to tell you. So we were up skiing, and we're on the lift, and my phone rings, and we're fairly at the bottom. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm fumbling and just trying to figure out where the phone is. I feel it go to voicemail, then I feel it kind of vibrate again. And I'm like, did someone just double call me? Cause that's kind of the international sign of something's wrong.
Right,
and I was
right.
like, So I futz with everything. I get the phone out. It's my grandmother. And I'm like, okay, but it's like showing up like, did she leave a voicemail? But she left a 2-second voicemail. Like what? Oh. Okay, I'm just going to call her back. We got time. So I call her and she goes, my computer's not working. And I'm like, okay, well, let's start with you don't own a computer.
Oh. All right, yeah, let's start there.
She has an iPad. And I'm like, okay, so what's going on with your iPad? And she's like, well, let me back up a little. I'm like, Grandma, I'm on a ski lift right now. Her response is, well, that's too bad. My iPad's not working. My computer's not working. And I'm like, wait, no, you gotta I've got seconds, only seconds before I get off.
Right.
Like, and she's like, well, the iPad it's not working. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? And it's like, the iPad is updated to iPad OS 14.0.2. And I'm like, hit continue. Oh, it doesn't say continue. Oh, what does it say? Dismiss. Hit dismiss.
Is that it? Is that all she had to hit?
Hold on. Well, there's another pop-up.
Geez.
So she's like, okay, now it changed to something else. And I'm like, what? And she's like, do you want to set up two-factor authentication? I'm like, no.
We're not doing that right now.
No.
Not doing that right now.
I'm like, say no. And she's like, it doesn't say no. I'm like, okay, what does it say? It says maybe later. And I'm like, hit later. Call. And then it like unlocks and like, but it says, okay, welcome to iPad. And I'm like, okay, hit continue. Well, it says next.
Okay.
Hit next.
Nomenclature is different, but it's the same.
Oh my
same
gosh.
thing.
Yeah. I'm like synonyms. So she hits that. She's like, oh, it works now. I'm like, okay, I love you. Bye. But I'm like, oh my gosh. The whole like, well, that's too bad. Just getting off the lift, like holding my phone, like,
Was she on speakerphone? So everybody around you was like, oh God.
speakerphone, but like low volume.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Not gonna try to bother anyone, but just being like, Grandma, I'm on the lift. Well, that's too bad. Oh, geez. Maddie's sitting next to me, just like, at first she's like, bro, why are you on the, she's going to be on the phone forever because I love my grandmother.
Sure.
But she does like to talk, and that's perfectly okay. But when you're on a ski lift, that's perfectly not.
Right.
But when she said, but that's too bad, it was just like, oh my gosh.
That's perfect. That's wonderful. No, I love that. Your whole thing, I do want to point out, both Quinnton and I are huge proponents of two-factor authentication. But if you were to get into that, you wouldn't have gone down the slope. They would have. No. They probably, in all due respect to your grandma, but they probably would have closed it and said, "Dude, we're just going to take you back because you're not coming down. We're going to just drive you back in a snowmobile or something like that."
Yeah. No, I would have been there forever trying to figure that out because I love her. She's not as technologically comfortable. Like, she's willing to do things, but
right.
she's always hesitant. That's why she double checks everything. But like trying to set up the entirety of a 2-factor authentication setup, no.
And I'm wondering, because technology for you and I just comes naturally, like you said,
right.
Synonyms. If it doesn't say continue, but it does say next, use that. If it doesn't say dismiss, but it does say maybe later, use that. We get that. I'm wondering what industry or what hobby or something that your grandma knows like the back of her hand, but if you were to do the same thing, like knitting or sewing, you'd be like, wait, the instructions say use cross stitch. What's a cross stitch? And she's like, it's the machine to your left. I explained this to you. So is there any kind of hobby or something where she would have the upper hand and you would be the silly looking one, so to speak?
She does do a lot of like word games. Like she'll do tons of crosswords. Well, no. Like I do wordament and I'm bad at it. No, she does like crosswords, word searches, like just all sorts of like word games. I think she does Sudoku. But like she does all sorts of those, like, you remember those books that you used to get at the local grocery store that had like a bazillion different little games on each page?
Sure.
And so you could just go through them. She just knocks those out left, right, and center.
Oh. And then, she's one of those very smart people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and here's the thing is it's like I'm genuinely happy that she does that kind of stuff because that keeps your brain going and like
yes,
keeps the
synapses.
It keeps them firing and keeps a lot of certain diseases as you get older away. Yeah. So
definitely. I think that's why for me, when it comes to certain puzzle games, I'm more akin to the visual puzzles, not so much the number puzzles, but the visual puzzles that you have to find patterns, whether they be color coordinated patterns or something to that effect. Have you ever played those games where it's like a parking lot and you got to move the car out of the parking lot to get all the cars out of the square?
I think I played something
similar
to that, where it's like you have a block that you need to get from A to B, and you have to move all the other blocks. That's a puzzle to figure out how to move it to the other side.
Yeah. So
that was one of the first apps that I downloaded for my iPod Touch. iTouch is a slang term, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's not a real thing. No, but I used to not be a fan of those types of games only because I would just get frustrated. But now that I'm older, I am realizing and I'm seeing immediate gratification of, hey, this is actually helping, whether it be for just memory or being able to think a lot clearer. There's definitely been times where I've done some of these types of puzzles for half an hour, maybe an hour, and then afterwards, I have epiphanies left and right of things that I want to do. It's like, oh, wow, that was really cool. So I don't know if they're necessarily correlated, but I'm going to say that they are. So
maybe you're just able to like kind of zen out and clear your head.
Maybe that definitely is a high possibility and probability, but if that is the case, then it works.
Yeah, my favorite one lately has been, well, I don't play it as much as late, but it's a game called 1010. And all it is like it's like Tetris, but when you get the pieces, you can place them. You can't rotate them, but you can place them wherever you want. Like you could literally place them in the top right and have it stick there. So there's no dropping animation.
Oh, okay.
But you can just place the blocks wherever you want, and they can eliminate themselves horizontally or vertically.
Okay.
But the goal is to not like get into a situation where you can't place another block.
Right.
Because then you lose, right? And that's been like when I've had in-person meetings and stuff, and it's like I'm just listening. It's I usually play that to like do something with my hands, because it's like I'm just using the part of my brain that's just using your what's it called? It's your spatial reasoning, and I can still listen and actually listen more attentively because I am not distracted. So yeah, 1010 has been my game. Not a sponsor.
Right, not a sponsor. Wait, so you're saying that by fidgeting with this puzzle game, you're less distracted, whereas if you were just to sit there and hands on the table and just listening, your mind would go elsewhere?
Yeah. What?
I for the audio listeners, Quinnton just did a deadpan stare.
Well, it's just like, what else? Yes, that is exactly it. It's easier to concentrate just holding and just like doing something monotonous. If I was trying to read an article or play a more intense game or something like that, oh yeah, I'd be distracted for sure. But
you can't you can't just sit there and listen, like in order to take in what the person is saying.
I'd say there's a few factors there. Let's say it's information that I need, but it's fairly, just for lack of a better term, boring.
Okay. Mundane.
Like it's just information that I need to absorb, but it's not information that is like, oh wow, yes. Then it's definitely easier to be doing something with my hands and just be listening.
Are you doing this when you say in-person meetings? Are you doing this in like our larger
in a crowd setting, not like a one-on-one? No, this is definitely like crowd setting.
What about like a one-to-many setting where you're part of the many and then there's a
like 4 or 5? No, I need to be able to be
lost,
disappeared into the crowd. Yeah.
Okay. I do that then too. I'm just like that. Yeah, no, definitely. Like you and I have been to events where, they're doing, let's just call them refresher courses. We're doing refresher courses and it's something that you already know. I already know like the back of our hand, and it's not a big deal. And so because of that, I'm pulling out the phone and I'm going to play some sort of game. Totally. I'm very much in that. And then when you hear the key word that you're like, oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, cool. I'm glad he mentioned it. I'm glad he mentioned it. I'm going back to this. So yeah. I'm totally down with that. When you said meeting, I thought of smaller room meeting. So I would be the presenter.
That's so rude.
I would be the presenter. I look across and I see this gentleman just on his phone, like, what the hell's his problem? So
yeah, no, that'd be incredibly rude.
Yeah.
So what happened to your background?
The garage is open.
Were you gonna say it right for a second? You paused. Say garage.
Garage.
No, say garage.
Garage, but
there you go.
Yeah, garage. The garage is open.
I still like side tangent. The only one that ever kills me with anyone is Washington and washing machine.
Okay. Who says that?
I've met a few people.
Is it just the accent or is it like a local pronunciation?
I think it's a local thing. Like, okay. I don't know if it's a Utah thing. I don't think it's just a Utah thing, but it is a thing that like maybe more of a southern accent. But yeah, okay. Washing machine in Washington, and I'm like, there's no R!
Now, if it were something like, like for example, the name Peabody, like Mr. Peabody.
Okay.
And there's a town in the Northeast called Peabody. But apparently the pronunciation and the emphasis on the syllable is incorrect. It's actually Peabody. And so there is a street in the town that I'm in right now, and it's known as Peabody. But just to be different and to be kind of an asshole to people that are local, I call it Peabody. So I'm not wrong. But they all give me that look of, where? Peabody and Elmira. Peabody? Yeah, that's what I said, Peabody.
You're so rude.
How am I rude though? How is that rude? It's not hurting anybody's feelings. It's a street name. Now,
okay, let me give you some tests. Let me give you some tests. I'm gonna make a word appear on my end, and I want you to see how it's pronounced. Where am I pointing here?
Yeah,
How do you pronounce that?
Alta.
Alta. Okay. We get people sometimes that are Alta.
Well, that's similar to the whole Nevada thing.
How about this one?
Tool?
Nope.
No. Oh, okay. What is it?
You want to take another slap?
Another slap. Ow. I hit myself. Towel.
Nope.
I honestly don't know.
Tooele.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because I actually wanted to bring up something, and it's been something that has been sitting in my mind for a little bit, and now it is perfect timing to do this. So, how do you pronounce that?
Sacagawea?
Right. So that is what we know as that's a pronunciation that we've all grown up with. But due to scholars and Native Americans or American Indians who are from the same original tribe, the actual proper pronunciation is Sacagawea. So my question to you, and this kind of goes to the whole Peabody, Sacagawea, Sacagawea. Is it too much to ask? Is it too much to ask for people to say, hey, when a proper pronunciation of somebody's name comes up later on in life, that's not how you pronounce it. The proper pronunciation is bleu. Is it too much to ask everybody to just go, oh, okay, I'm now gonna call her Sacagawea, or versus Sacagawea? Or do we just suck it up and say, oh, well, that's what I learned when I was 3, so that's what I'm gonna call it?
No, I think if you want to be effective, your focus should be towards like schooling, education, and people who are just learning about the place, instead of tell the people a little bit of like the people who grew up with it wrong, and like kind of try to inform them. Because you and I, like, we're kind of be like, okay, yeah, like, let's try to incorporate that. But there's a ton of people that are going to be like, I don't care. So I'd say if you want to put your focus, and if you're spending money on it, like, put your focus into schooling and education, and put that to the newer generation that's going to learn that and needs to talk about that. Not as much, like, you still should, but like not nearly as much as the older generation, especially the older generation that's not going to care.
Right. No, that's actually a really good point, because like you know how stuck I can get on certain things that I personally feel that we as a newer society are morally obligated to recognize, whether it be a people's culture, or in this case, their name. And there have been some other examples in my lifetime where somebody has said something. I mean, I'll just use the Christopher Columbus example, right? We grew up thinking that Christopher Columbus was a great old guy who found. I mean, but that's what we grew up knowing, right?
Yeah.
And then later on in life, we found out he was, kind of a head, So luckily, at least for the American public school system, they have changed their tune, and they have, moved on. But I was at somebody's house. I don't know if it was Christopher Columbus Day or, Indigenous Peoples Day, but it was something around that day that the topic came up, and there was an older gentleman, and he was like, I don't see what the big deal is. He discovered America. Who the F cares about this, that? Many people back then did all those things. Many people were in the wrong, but they also did some good. Should we change the history books to just call them out for their bad stuff and not call them out for their good stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but even though he does a few good things, you're completely ignoring all the bad things by not even mentioning it. Like you're casting him in a positive light, where honestly he should be in a negative light with oh, by the way, he did do this one good thing or whatever it was.
Right.
You know,
it's like, yes, he did do this, that, and the other, but that does not outweigh the bad.
Right. So I think, to your point, the whole idea of changing the narrative from the school system, at least for the younger generation, that's actually a much better way to do it, because like you said, and we're seeing this right now with other topics that we're not going to bring up, but right. We're seeing it right now where the older generation is very stuck in their ways, and right. And the younger generation is hopefully learning the better way to deal right. with changes or differences or what have you.
And it should be mentioned, like, these are broad strokes. This doesn't necessarily mean anything. I know, at least in my family, like several of the quote unquote older generation that are very open to change and very receptive of that kind of thing, and very understanding of people's culture. Like these are extreme broad strokes, and we are fully recognizable of that.
Yeah.
So the other thing, kind of interesting thing that you were saying, as far as I understand it, it's not Native American or American Indian. It is just Indian.
So I heard something different.
Okay, we'll have to talk about this offline.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about this offline. And those two nomenclatures, I guess three, are very very hot topic and controversial in their own right. And the reason why, like, whenever I talk about controversial topics, especially here on this podcast, and you hear me mumbling, you hear me fumbling to say the words properly or to say the words in such a way that I'm not going to offend somebody, is honestly because one of the podcasts that I look up to is an educational podcast, and they cast new shadows over history that hasn't been rewritten, but history that's been re-researched. And they go back and they say, look, we have said this for many, many years. We can't do that anymore. And it's not a PC thing. It's you're outright insulting them.
Well, yeah. The thing that you miss a lot of the times, people forget, is the term history is written by the victors.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily mean, like, that's not a good thing. Like, you need, especially way back when, where it was like, you didn't have the ability to have communication and that kind of thing. Like, you'd have that situation of, like, they'd leave huge parts out about how they slaughtered, all the innocents.
Right.
Oh, we won. Well, how'd you win? They surrendered. Why'd they surrender? Because they were scared.
Right.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yes. And how about you don't ask any more questions? I have so many more. No. Not going to answer.
No, we're just going to move on. We're just going to move on.
Would you like turkey? Yeah. So this particular podcast, they go out of their way to be. I will agree. They go out of their way to be PC, but I feel like, being that you and I are in the public seeing space, and this is not a political podcast. We try not to put our views on the table. So we want to be as inclusive, and so that's why I try to say certain things and try to say it correctly, so I don't get emails from people calling me,
not worth it right
calling
now.
me ignorant. Yeah, no, it's just not worth it. Yeah, no. Yeah. So if we ever were to go down that road with how we refer to the people that were here first, then maybe it'd be a nice educational point of view. But
we'll have a little education corner of the podcast of, like, and this segment is brought to you by learning.
as you know, Nicholas Aurelius' son, he is doing he's doing homeschool with us, and we're the ones creating the curriculum. And one particular week for Art Appreciation Week, I had him researching different content creators on the internet, from YouTubers to Twitch streamers and the like. And from that, I said, okay, now gain some inspiration and you do your own video. And he wanted to do a Rust compilation video where he,
cool.
shows off different things that happened in the game of Rust. And although it did take him much, 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 much longer than expected to finish the video, I am so freaking proud of his accomplished video. So for those of you that want to see it, I'll put it in the show notes down below here on YouTube, or in the podcast show notes. You can click the link. But it's very, very impressive for his first video ever. Like, it wasn't like, oh, this is his third video, so no. He downloaded DaVinci Resolve with no explanation on how to use DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, you got to give him a little extra time for that one.
Yeah, so and honestly, I gave him extra time because the actual what's it called? The actual assignment was assigned to him, I believe, in the first week of January. Okay. And it seemed obvious that it was going to take a little bit of time. So I actually gave him till the end of January to complete it. And we didn't get it until just recently. So it's only about a week or two late, but it's
so the question then is, like, was part of, because I would assume the assignment, like, was not just go do the research, but was part of the assignment, okay, now let's learn how to make a video, how to use DaVinci Resolve, how to take tutorials.
Not so much how to take tutorials, but he was 100% on his own. So that I can kind of see it. Like, if you had like a 30-day kind of like, here's our project, and in this project we're going to get inspiration, we're going to research how to use the program, we're going to learn how to do basic editing, and then we'll put it all together and make a video. See, like, you missed this bit. The small bit that you're talking about, it to me, because it just, and I realize it seems so second nature to me, but that small bit is, in my opinion, it was minuscule for him as well too. It's just that I don't know. I just feel, as much as he really, really wanted to do it, he kept on getting roadblocks, whether it be issues with recording the clips or getting the audio correct. It got to the point where he couldn't use audio at all, and just muted all of his gameplay and just put music over it.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know why. He was using OBS as well too, so... And his computer is better than my PC. I mean, it's a better, so I couldn't fathom what was happening. But I'll tell you, is
he familiar with OBS?
No. And so that could have been it, that just doing the window capture or display capture of the game, for whatever reason, the audio wasn't coming through. But the fact is, he found the workaround, which was, I'm just going to get rid of the audio and put music over it. It's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. And for me, honestly, that troubleshooting was part of the assignment, to learn how to overcome an issue that you are presented with. And instead of throwing your hands up and like, oh, I give up. No, figure it out. You still have, this is still due. And so this actually inspired me to actually tell Estrella, who, if for those of you who know, Estrella, my daughter, and I, we do a lot of videos, and one of the videos that I do with her are gameplay videos, but unfortunately those take the most amount of time, because she and I will play for an hour, and then to upload a video to YouTube, I got to shrink that hour down to like 7 minutes worth of good quality content. I don't have that time. And so I was like, well, you know what? This is a perfect time for me to get her to learn how to do it. So I said, all right, I will download DaVinci Resolve for you, and we will get this going. And
how old is she again?
She's 8.
Bro, you got to get both of them on tutorials, man.
So,
like you sent them into the fire.
So before you judge me,
Okay.
Microsoft Windows 10 has a video editor built into it.
Right.
It is worse than Windows Movie Maker, in my opinion, but it works. So I had her use that first because it's a lot of dragging and dropping, and very clearly, you want to cut it or you want to split it? You want to put 3D animation? What do you want to do? And so
I have a suggestion, but I will.
So I had her jump into that just to kind of get an idea of the flow, because what I was trying to explain to her was what really matters is the story. What is the story that you are conveying in this 7-minute video? Because if it's just you putting on different outfits, that's fine, but that's got to be the story. If it's you putting on a bunch of different outfits, but the story was you're pretending to take your dog to the park, but you only do that for 2 minutes of the video, then then we have to change the storyline. And so I was trying to get her to see videos as basically stories and learning how to become a better digital storyteller. And so she did one video, and for her first video, it was good. It was fine. It
awesome.
was, it wasn't exactly what she wanted, because she kept on telling me she wanted some 3D animation. But I said, okay, I get that, and we'll mess around with that. But are you happy with the story? Yeah, exactly. We'll stick to basics. Are you happy with the story? Do you feel like the story can stand on its own? And she said yes. So I'm like, cool. So what is your suggestion?
Don't teach her Resolve at the moment. Teach her Premiere Rush.
Oh.
Premiere Rush is so friendly.
And where is that? I thought that's iPad only.
No, it's on. I told you I used a Premiere Rush, and I don't own an iPad.
You did tell me this, and then then I ignored it.
Fiddle around with it with her, because that thing is so easy. Like what you're talking about with drag and dropping and stuff. Like, I think that might be exactly what kind of the my first editor you're kind of looking for.
Well, now, does Premiere Rush require the Adobe Creative Cloud login?
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of an issue, because I right now have 2 logins and they're already being used.
Does she not edit on your computer?
No, she edits on her computer.
Okay. Can't you log in on multiple computers, or is it literally like you can log in on 2 computers?
I think it's based on logins, not just licenses.
Right. Like because the thing is, I have my suite on my desktop and my Surface.
Okay. Well, then it might be okay. Yeah.
Maybe you could install just Adobe Premiere Rush for her on her computer.
I'll have to check that out, because I know, I mean, with digital licensing, it can be very difficult, because like our job, we have a product that has digital licensing, but the licensing allows you to fundamentally put a piece of software on as many devices as you want with your single login. I don't know if Adobe allows you to do that with a single login, or if it only gives you.
And I know Adobe is apparently a little more.
Yeah. just a bit.
Yeah. No, I think that might be kind of up her alley, because I was kind of fiddling with that when I was switching over to Adobe Premiere, and I needed to get our project done, and I realized that I had gone from a Toyota Corolla to the International Space Station in terms of options, and I was like, okay, I don't have time to learn all these switches and knobs. These are terrifying. I need to get this project done.
Right.
So I used Rush, and Rush, I watched, I think, one tutorial, just couldn't figure out how to cut the audio from a clip, and they're like, oh, just right click it and click this thing, and I was like, oh, it's named something else that I didn't recognize. And
was it unlink?
Other than that, no, I don't remember what the exact issue was, but it's very intuitive, very easy to work with.
All right, I will look into downloading that for her. But yeah, the cool thing is that my whole point about this is regarding like homework or whatnot is, you know, if we can find the passion for the kids and direct them to it that way, then I feel like it's going to be a much easier battle. It might not even be a battle, just a much easier experience for all the parties involved.
No, it's like I've said before, like the big thing with me with homework and stuff like that has always been just like, why are we learning this? And that really like was like math is a great example of that kind of thing. And when you start going into like calculus and stuff like that, they're like, okay, all these equations, but like a lot of teachers, they don't explain what is a use case for this equation. And it's like, I'm not looking for a day-to-day. I'm not looking for, if you're in the supermarket, this will be so nice to know because then you can figure out the price of it. No. I just want to know like, oh, this is what they use to like, this is basically rocket science. And this is how they figure out how the trajectory of the earth rotates and it'll affect like, I don't care how niche it is, just how it applies, how it can function and why do we have this information?
Sure.
Like, we figured out, okay, A plus B equals C, but why?
I mean, one of the coolest things with math and in particular learning graphs and learning like, you know, the whole like speed and velocity and figuring all that out, like why that matters is it's something that is relatable is in video games. When video games become a lot more realistic, bullet drop from bullet to bullet to barrel to gun, you know, to all of that all matters. And that is all sure. Like once all the formulas are all done, you just have to punch in the numbers, but you have to figure out those formulas first. And to understand those formulas, that is algebra, or that is, you know, a version of calculus or something. I mean, it's not quantum physics, and that's what, you know, that's something else. But at least when I was able to relay it to my son, Franklin, like he loves Forza, but he at a time he just didn't understand math. I said, well, look, all the cars in Forza, they drive and feel very similar to the original cars. Why do you think that is? They copied and pasted? No, they still had to figure it out and digitize what happens in the real world in the game. They put it through an algorithm. Who figures out that algorithm? Right. It's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't foresee you necessarily becoming a video game developer, but now you know this is why like things like that happen, and that's why things like that are important. And now I look normal. Look, see?
Yay, you got regular background again. Yay.
Before we move on, I do want to talk about something that is a little bit more serious, but it's also kind of fun. And it's something that I am doing right now with my stream team, the Onesie Gang. As you guys can see in this video right now, we've got Texas and the Red Cross in the lower left-hand corner. For those that are not watching, that's what we have. And that is because we are doing an event on Sunday, February 28th. It is the Onesie Gang Support Lone Star Relief. A bunch of us are doing an all-day stream with the American Red Cross to raise money for people that are affected by the events that recently happened in Texas. So it will start at 9 a.m. Eastern. If you can make it, if you can come, just stop by and say hi. It would be phenomenal. It would be awesome. If you're able to fiscally and responsibly donate, I would be forever in your debt and so grateful. And so there will be more information as to how this is going to, how it's going to roll out, but it's going to be something called a raid train. So it starts with Nano Ninja, and then we're going to move over to the next streamer, Huckle Gaming, for example, and then to me, then Starlight Mason. So each streamer is going to have a 2 to 3 hour block where they play games or whatever. I'm going to sing. I'm going to play games. We're going to play charades. We're going to do truth or dare. We're going to have a lot of fun doing this and hopefully raise a lot of money for the American Red Cross. So, guys, thank you again for this opportunity. And I hope that we're able to do right by the community. And I hope we're able to give back as much as we humanly can. So stay tuned for more information on that.
And for those of you in the future, I hope it went well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you're listening to this after the fact, I believe the link is going to donate is always going to be live. So you can always donate at your own volition. So
200 years from now, it's still active. Go ahead.
Sure.
Do it.
Go ahead.
Do it.
it.
Do it.
Do it. If you're still listening 200 years from now, do we have jetpacks yet? Yes or no? Let me know.
I want exoskeletons, not jetpacks.
Can we have exoskeletons with jetpacks?
Oh, so why not both kind of situation?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
This is one of those rare instances where you and I can have our cake and eat it. It's usually we're like on like two opposite ends of a topic. Like, no, we are gonna mesh this exoskeleton together. We're gonna make it work.
There you go.
Yeah.
This episode is powered by Pod Decks. Pod Decks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out Pod Decks. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to poddecks.com and type in coupon code. What's the code?
Still recording.
Yes, that's the code. Check out poddecks.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
All right, so let's break this bad boy open. I have not shuffled these, so we're just going to go ahead and do a quick little...
That one.
Simple... This one right here? Okay. What are you currently curious about?
I don't know. What are you curious about?
I guess now that I'm getting more into cryptocurrency, I'd like to get into more traditional stock trading. So I'm curious about day trading. I'm curious about what exactly is day trading. Like I know, like in our job, that term has been thrown around, and I know I can do a quick Bing search or Google search, Alta Vista, whatever. I can look it up, and I'll get a definition of what day trading is. But I just haven't done it, so I'm just I'm very, very cautiously curious about it because I know what could potentially happen is that I get very curious about it, and then there goes some more of my money. Because you and I both, I've been investing in crypto since May, April. You just recently invested because of the whole uproar with Dogecoin. But the reality is, the more prominent market, if you will, or even the cannabis market. I mean, these are things that are just on the rise, and
right.
It would be kind of foolish for us to just watch it go by.
Right.
Right. We're literally right here where we can take advantage of it. We can be as frugal or as, as risky,
adventurous.
as
Yes,
adventurous.
risky,
yeah. So I'm more of a I'm more
in between.
I'm more of a.
We follow the fundamental rule of only
invest what
bet,
what you're willing to lose. Right. And that's what I did initially. And so essentially all the money that I have been investing in since then is just been recirculated from the money that has become profit. And so if I make any money from one investment, I can then pull that out and then put it toward another investment and then just kind of diversify that. And that's been great with apps like Coinbase, for example, but it is just crypto. And so recently, because I downloaded Public and I've downloaded Robinhood, I've been, inundated with these notifications of, hey, these stocks are really good. I'm like, I don't even know that company. You know? So that's why I'm like, I'm curious about it, but I'm like, how much do I want to actually dive into it?
Right. I guess if you're going with that, it's like, what are you currently interested in is almost what it is. And that'd be skiing for me, like fairly easily. Like this year has been like a big awakening of, holy crap, I used to ski when I was like a little kid. And now I'm like super back into it. And
now you're just the big kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thoroughly enjoyed watching that video that our buddy Chef took of him, and you were in the front, and I was like, hey, who's that guy in the red pants? He's doing pretty well. And it ended up being you. I was like, hey.
Yay, I'm learning.
That's where he didn't face plant. Honestly, the one of the main reasons I kind of knew it was you was because you did do pizza. You were doing your French fries.
For a split second, thank you.
And then it was a little bit of pizza, and then back to French fry. Yeah, it was very split.
No. It was very. The thing that I have is I have a couple bad habits. It's not necessarily, oh, I need pizza to slow down. It's, I have some bad habits I'm trying to work on, and then I could bore you to death with the nitty gritty. But I'm going to stick up for myself. It's less of like the, oh, I need to use pizza because I don't know what to do. It's more of, I just have a couple bad habits that cause that.
So it's, you use pizza, or you last minute, oh, I need a power slide into this.
I'm using it to more traverse than to slow down.
Oh, interesting.
When I need to not. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. No, the one, not trick, but the one technique I've never learned properly, even in ice skating, was the power slide.
The hockey stop kind of thing?
The hockey stop. And ironically, I was on a hockey team. I just
never got it.
I just never got it. I was always just extremely, extremely scared of the shortstop and then fall over a lot. Like, I was always scared about that. So, and now that I'm older and I know my body is a little bit more brittle, I feel like, even if I were to go and work out at the gym and stuff like that, which I do want to do again, but even with that, I feel like if there were a moment where I was skiing down the hill and it did like a very sharp left turn, and my only option, because pizza slice would slow me down gradually, but it wouldn't be gradual enough, or it wouldn't be quick enough, that I wouldn't be able to do the power slide, the hockey stop. So I would just fall. I was like, I'm
I think you'd be fine.
I appreciate your faith in me. I don't have faith. I've lost it. My faith in myself was left on the mountains of the Alps.
There you go.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you want to follow our show off the air, you can definitely check us out on Instagram, the Still Recording Podcast. And individually, Quinnton, how can people find you?
On Instagram and Xbox at Firewall.
You can find me those places as well under Lazy Tech Tony. And as a quick reminder, we are doing the charity stream on February 28th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. So, you figure out the time zone switch, and, stay tuned for some more updates as to where to find out all of that stuff. So, but until the next one, have a good one. Later.
Bye, guys.
Heart.